Hey guys, we got a good show for you today. We're from ncaa High School. I'm here with Jace Middelton. He plays for Ohio State. Thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely.
So we always start off with like a few, would you rather to get started. Pitching in a game. Who would you rather have, DeGrom or Cole?
DeGrom.
Best pitcher in baseball right now?
Yeah, definitely DeGrom.
Yeah, I was at a Yankees game. I was hearing it. Everyone was like, all the Yankees fans was like, Cole's still the best. I'm like, you can't argue with the ERA, man.
Yeah,
You can't.
DeGrom all the way.
Okay, next one. Would you rather have Scherzer or Kershaw?
Probably Kershaw. He's been through a lot, and I don't know. I just feel like he's more in the clutch.
Yeah.
I have to say.
Do you think being a lefty also has that advantage for a pitcher?
Absolutely.
Yeah. People always say that, and I was wondering to get your take on that.
Yeah.
So for you personally, how did you get into baseball yourself?
My dad has always been a player or a coach, and when I was born, he was the coach of Jonathan Alder. So right when I was out of the hospital, I was automatically on a baseball field.
Yeah.
And I have not been separated from it since.
Yeah, so you're just like born on a baseball field.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So to want to talk about that, your dad, he got drafted in the 6th round. What's it like having him? Some of these you have dads, but your dad actually knows baseball.
Right.
And what's that like?
Well, it's awesome in a way to where he can help me with different things throughout my game. Now, the difficult part about it is we played 2 different positions. He played third base and shortstop,
Yeah.
and I'm a pitcher and outfielder.
Yeah.
So in that degree, he couldn't really help me with that because he never really pitched and he didn't play the outfield. But growing up hitting-wise and knowing the game and knowing that you'll fail more than you succeed, just having the mental estate of baseball, he's really helped me through it.
Yeah, for sure. The fail more and see. I tell everyone, baseball's the one sport where we can lose 70 games, still be in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
It's crazy because in every other sport you'd be out first round.
Oh yeah.
I talked about baseball. It's like how you lose a lot of games, still be in the playoffs. It's like recruiting is weird too. A lot of people commit early. Talk about the recruiting, how it was for you and everything.
So I got my first offer before I even played my first high school baseball game, and that was the right state. And it was such a cool and unreal feeling. And then the recruiting started to pick up more and more with baseball, because in baseball you can commit as early as you want, and
Yeah.
I think it's the same way in lacrosse.
Yeah.
But with baseball, I committed sophomore year just because they offer so many guys, but you don't know if your offer is going to be on the table later on.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to go to Ohio State. My dad played there back from 95 to 99. And in my heart, I knew always that I wanted to be a Buckeye.
Yeah. You talked about wanting to be a Buckeye. Talk about your relationship with the coaching staff. I know you talked about, starting to have some practices. What's that like?
Well, right now it's kind of on our own. So the pitchers and I in my class will go down, we'll throw and work on our craft on the mound. And then the other guys are there doing their own thing. But as of right now, I got class Monday through Wednesday. I'm working out Monday through Friday. And it's been an unreal experience so far. I love it.
Is class in person or you guys online?
One class is, one's online.
So you're getting to start to go on campus,
Oh,
getting
yeah.
all that.
That's
going. That's awesome. College World Series, happened last week. I've watched that my whole life, right? There's nothing like wanting to go to like Omaha and being a part of that, right? And I'm starting to get kind of tired of it because you see a lot of that, southeast, the schools like North Carolina's and the ACC and all those start, they make it every year. What's it going to take for, some of these Big Ten schools, to start making a mix and getting in there?
Well, I think, for one, just realizing that in baseball, anything can happen. I mean, you saw a couple years ago, Coastal Carolina won the whole thing.
Yeah.
You saw this year with Wright State having Tennessee by their thumbnails in 2 games that they should have won, and they just didn't.
Yeah.
So in baseball, you got to realize anything can happen at any given moment. Mm-hmm. And it's not like football where one team can dominate the other.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the worst team in the MLB could beat the best team in the MLB. It just depends on the day.
Yeah.
And that's once people start realizing that, I think that they're just going to have fun with it.
Yeah.
And they're not going to have so much pressure on, oh my God, it's Vanderbilt. We have to play lights out to beat them. No, that's not the way it goes.
Yeah. You talk about the South, you get temperature changes some people don't realize. When you're in the South, you get that you're between 70 and 90 degrees. Where up here, you've experienced it your whole life.
Absolutely.
It's like in the spring, I want it's like 40, 50 degrees you're pitching, and then you transition where it's like into May, you could be 80 degrees. Is that transition real, and what's it like?
I mean, it's weird up here because you saw this year in the spring where it would go from snowing one day and then it'd be high 70s the next day.
Yeah.
And then there'd be rain and then there'd be no rain. So playing in Ohio rather than down south, I mean, down south you have warm weather all the time, year round. And up here it kind of varies and changes. But the simple way of it is difficult playing up here. And it's difficult going from cold weather to warm weather because when it's warm out, your arm feels so loose.
Yeah.
And when it's cold, your arm feels tight and you can't go as long.
Yeah.
So that they have the advantage down there more than us.
Yeah, because I'm an Indians fan, and I always tell my friends, they always like look at their record in like April. I'm like, just look at it in like August. It's gonna be a lot different because the weather's gonna be starting to be nicer for them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you had some schools wanting you to play football at the D1 level. It was like middle linebacker,
Outside
tight end?
backer.
Oh, outside backer, tight end. Why didn't you end up playing football, and what was like made baseball the sport you wanted to stick with in college?
I had the idea of playing both since I was committed at Ohio State. When I really threw that option out the window was when I signed my letter of intent.
Yeah.
So I always had in the back of my mind, because I've been playing football just as long as I've been playing baseball. Football and baseball, people ask me all the time, which one is your favorite sport? And I have no answer for them.
Yeah.
I guess just depending on the season. They're two completely different sports. I love them in their own ways, but just I saw myself doing something more in baseball than football.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I 100% get that. It was like when AAU season, basketball season came around, I was like, all I want to do is play basketball. When tennis season came around, all I want to do is play tennis.
Right.
It's really like when you're in the heat of season, it's all you want to do.
Absolutely.
You hate when the season ends. Senior season, we talk about like COVID. I know you had a bunch of high expectations coming in for junior year, to work on some things. Having that year off, what was it like coming in, playing that senior year, and how did you think you did and everything with it?
Well, see, let's go back to junior year with COVID. I got hurt, so I missed that whole year of throwing. I strained my rotator cuff, and I didn't get to pick up a baseball at all.
Yeah.
So I actually had to take a year completely off from baseball and come back senior year. I kind of struggled.
Yeah.
And with struggling senior year, I just had the mentality of, when I get to Ohio State, we'll critique and we'll fix all the mistakes I'm making now, but let's just go have fun, compete at the best of my ability right now. And that's what I did.
Yeah. I saw you bad though. You were like in 400s, right?
I was for half the year, and then I went down about 326, but probably one of my better hitting seasons this year.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I don't know if when you're talking about things you want to critique at Ohio State, what do you kind of want to work on? My grandpa was a baseball coach, and back in the 70s, he coached at Marietta for God knows how long. He always told me that one thing he wish he would have told kids is you can learn. You gotta, if you throw fast and you'll fix the control later. It's like he's like, I always teach kids control, and then we'll throw fast later. He's like, you gotta learn to throw fast. What are you working on?
Right now it's just mechanics, because if you can critique and fix the mechanics now, the velo will come later.
Okay.
And when you work on mechanics, you work on release point. Everything is like a rubber band effect kind of with your arm and your shoulders. But right now, growing up when I pitched, I would throw all upper body. And right now I'm trying to include the lower part of my body. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but we're getting there and I'm improving, and that's all I can ask for.
Yeah. You have a fastball, curveball, slider, cutter, and then the changeup's new. Is the changeup the pitch that's new?
Changeup it's being worked on, yes.
So what's it like, learning a newer pitch? Because when did you start working on this pitch?
2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yep.
So what's it like learning a pitch for like the first time new, like this?
I mean, it's weird. I haven't thrown it off a mound. Usually what I will do if I'm trying to throw a new pitch is I'm really trying to feel the grip of it. Because with different pitches, different arm slots, a little bit, different release points, and also different grips. So for me, I stand about 60 feet away, and I really try on hitting my target in the chest as many times as I can, getting the feel for it. And once I feel that I have total control over it, that's when I go on the mound and start throwing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Learn all these pitches that makes you a much better pitcher because you can, you keep batters out of rhythm all the time, throwing different things. This summer, is there any tournaments you're planning to play or anything? I don't know how it works with going to Ohio State and stuff.
Right. I kind of just find teams on the weekend. I play for Triple Crown.
Yeah.
But once they're out of town, like this weekend in West Virginia, I'll just throw a bullpen on the side. But once they're in town locally, I'll go and pitch about 50 pitches, and then for the rest of the week, I work out, keep my arm in shape, and throw a bullpen in the middle of the week.
No, it's probably nice. I know a lot of baseball people. They're playing every weekend, and it's a grind. Now you're in. It's funny because like when I'm trying to talk to kids that are like sophomores or juniors, they're like, "You're sorry, every weekend's booked." But now it's like I talked to a Rutgers guy. They're all like, "I have free time now for the first time in my life." It's crazy. Of all these places, you ever got to play, what's the favorite place you ever played?
Probably Cooperstown.
Yeah.
In New York. Oh yeah. When I was 12 years old, that was probably the most fun I've had.
Went to the Hall of Fame?
I did.
You like that? Was that cool? I've never been there.
It was a great experience. It's a little vivid memory just because it was so long ago.
Yeah.
But I remember walking in and it was just mind blowing.
Yeah. Talking about Cooperstown. That's where all the greats play. Growing up,
Oh, yeah.
did you look up to any current or even former players?
Repeat that.
Growing up, do you look up with any current or former players?
Look up to?
Yeah.
I kind of grew up watching Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like him because he's the Cuban Missile.
Yeah.
And then also I tried to imitate Johnny Cueto because I grew up in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So I used to go to Reds games all the time. And I'd go in the backyard try and do the little shimmy Johnny Cueto does, try and throw it as hard as possible like Aroldis Chapman. So those guys were really dudes that I looked up to. But in the field, I guess I looked up to Brandon Phillips the most.
Yeah.
He was a stud.
He was great. He was a great player. I used to go to Reds games all the time, talk about my uncle now transitioned to the Reds Hall of Fame. He works for them now. But I remember I still have a Johnny Cueto bobblehead up there. But I remember back in, you probably remember this too, being a Reds fan. Remember when every night Aroldis felt like he was throwing faster and it was crazy? Because back when they had the little flame.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now they don't do that anymore because it's like a lot more people are pitching faster.
They do the flame when it gets up to 98 instead of 100. So if you get up to 98 and above, they do the flame on TV, but not at the stadium.
Really? Okay. Okay, so, in your free time when you're not playing baseball, what do you like to do?
If I'm not out and about with my friends, I'm usually napping.
Yeah.
I love to catch up on some sleep because I don't get much sleep. But either napping or I'm playing Warzone, Call of Duty.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fun time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's shout out to Call of Duty. Now you get paid, maybe a little bit of money from this video.
Maybe, or I'm drinking Bane. If you know me, you know I love Bane.
I had Pit Viper DM me a couple of days ago.
Oh, did you?
That's a sick one.
Oh, yes,
Pit
it
Viper
is.
something
Yes,
there. So the final two questions, you always finish off with them. Over the course of your career, what's the best piece of advice you ever heard?
Best piece of advice I've ever heard was appreciate what you have now. Let me repeat this. Let me think about how they said this. Because it kind of appreciate what you have before you appreciate what you had. And that really stuck to me in sports and in high school and the friends that you make in high school. Because after this year, you split your ways and you're gone forever.
Oh, yeah.
And especially with football, I'll never put on the pads and the helmet again. It's a sickening feeling because I played it for so long. I think 13, 14 years I played tackle football. And if I would have heard that piece of advice before high school, I think I would have taken the game just a little bit more seriously.
Yeah.
I appreciated all those little moments.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like people don't realize it, but we're just graduating. It's already in this time. You're starting to see people go, and you're realizing, hey, this is never going to be the same.
100%.
So this is the toughest question you're probably gonna be asked. Is some people aren't even ready for it. So when your baseball career is over down the line, how do you want people to remember yourself?
I want to be remembered as the goofy guy that worked harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to be remembered as. Because, it's easy to. It's not as easy as what people think to get up every morning and go work out and go do the things that all these guys are doing. way that you do it and the way that I do it in the weight room is I have fun with it.
Yeah.
I'm goofy with it, but I'm still getting just as much work in, maybe even a little bit more, as some of the other guys that don't take it as seriously.
Yeah, you just gotta have fun with it, or you'll get burned out.
Absolutely.
A lot of people quit.
Yes.
You'll
absolutely.
see that. Well, Jace, I appreciate you coming on, man. We have a bunch of athletes. Do you want athletes to help out with this and different things? So it means a lot when you come on and help us out.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.